And welcome back to the You Always Be Building Show, sponsored by Dynasty Football Factory Network. I am Stephen Chalmers, joined as always by my partner on the right side of the screen, Ryan Odell. Deli, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Missed another week. Back again, though. Listen, me and Steve, we love the in-season content just as much as the next guy, but we feel like sometimes it gets a little flooded with everybody kind of doing the same content in season. So we're going to pivot a little bit. We're going to pivot a little bit tonight, and we're going to cover our consensus 101 in college football, Ashton Jeanty. Super excited about this. We're going to cover everything from his menacing stance in the backfield to his Heisman contending season. He's playing absolutely out of his mind right now. Steven, what you got for us?
Dynasty Football Factory Network has given us this great opportunity to start and rebrand this YouTube channel, giving us the ability to do what we please when it comes to content that we produce. So I just want to give a shout out to them over there. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Again, we don't say it enough. So with our brand, Dynasty Football Factory, it comes with memberships. You get access to our Discord, rankings, DFF, Devi, Best Ball, Redraft, Dynasty hosted by Ryan and myself. A lot of information. $20 yearly, comes about $1.67, $4.99 a month if you choose to pay monthly. Huge just resource of information. Whether it be the articles, whether it be in the Discord, just talking it up, chatting with us, and just other things. The podcast as well. So like we like to say here, we're just grown men who love fantasy football. So tonight, Ashton Jeanty. Like I told everybody, this year was the year to sell off your aging running backs. Why? Because this class is special.
Yeah, it's loaded. This is just one of few coming out. It's just easy to start with this guy because he's a nuclear pace right now. As of through week 9, 224 carries, over 1,700 yards, and 23 rushing touchdowns.
To be fair, the pace started his freshman year.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The only question when it came to Ashton Jeanty was the competition he's played.
Yeah,
that's the only question I've been asked is, this dude plays at Boise State. Can we try to break down some competition against some top tier level college teams? And yes, a lot of the schedule, you'll notice that he plays teams that are obviously Division I football, but it's not your Oregons, it's not your USCs, it's not your Penn States. These consistent games, it's not anybody really in the SEC. But he has a couple games on his schedule this year where he got to really showcase his talent. The Oregon game being the one game that really stands out to me. But overall, this dude, I mean, we could talk about running backs that have not come from elite, prestigious programs, and they've been just fine in the NFL.
Right.
I want to start off with the best running back in college football, the consensus 101 in 2025 SuperFlex rookie drafts, Mr. Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get the show started, baby.
Yeah, really quick, not to just glaze over the fact. I mean, he played great against Oregon this year. 25 carries, 192 yards, and 3 touchdowns. One of them came from a 70-yard scramble. He looked really good against Oregon, who's now the number 1 team. They weren't number 1 at the time, but as of week 9, they are the number 1 team in the country. So to see that is already great news. Now, of course, Boise State's making a push for the playoffs. We'll see how he does against teams then. But so far, the only real competition he's played, he still looked lights out, 7.7 yards per carry. So I think we could put the allegations of him playing only against bad teams away as of now.
Well, we'll see when it comes to the college football playoffs because
Right.
Boise State's not losing a game. They're going to win their divisional conference or divisional championship. They're coming in at 13 overall. I do see teams slipping out of the top 12. You know, losses happen all the time when it comes to divisional championship games and things like that. I'm really excited to see him play in this environment. I think it's really going to highlight his overall talent and what he can do against big-name competitions, big-name schools. But let's get into the overall profile. Ashton Jeanty, 5'9", 215 pounds, projected 4.42 40-yard dash. What does that tell me? That tells me, yes, he is slightly a little smaller when it comes to the height side. 215, coming in at a very solid weight for a running back. A lot of running backs in today's game that are just not pushing that 200-pound mark, and they're making impacts in the NFL, i.e. Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon A-Chain, and we can keep going down the list.
Yeah.
This guy's a behemoth. To me, what I see is what I saw Kareem Hunt when he came out of college. He looks exactly like Kareem Hunt, same build, same stature, and he runs hard. God damn, does he run hard.
Yeah, he does. And I think what highlights it all for him is a pure runner, which is essentially what he is. We'll get into some cons later, but I mean, off the rip, already offering elite contact balance. That's something you can typically teach. I mean, he's got it down. Like, kid is shredding tacklers left and right. He is so hard to bring down. I get he's playing against lesser schools, but I mean, we got 2-3 guys in a row trying to bring this kid down, and he's still running through them. Like, how can you take away from that? Once the momentum gets going with him, he's gone. I know a lot of people want to talk about his long speed is lacking a little bit. I really don't see a whole lot of that, if I'm 100% honest with you. He has no problem breaking off big runs.
So the things that I want to talk about, I just want to talk about some of his accolades before we get into the pros and cons here.
Ooh, my bad.
Like I said, freshman year, 821 rushing yards on 157 carries. All MAC, my honorable mention player, standout performance his freshman year. These guys like this, him, your Quinshawn Jukins, your guys like that in this class that had roles from their freshman year, they've continuously held on to these roles. They've shined in these roles, and he's just produced the most. Sophomore year, 1,347 rushing yards, 569 receiving yards. Only player in the country to have a 90 PFF grade for rushing and receiving. He is a monster. His sophomore year followed up into his junior year. We are 9 games in? We are 9 games in, ladies and gentlemen, and this man has 1,734 rushing yards and 23 touchdowns. He is averaging 220 rushing yards a game.
And he's not even playing in some second halves of these games. I don't think he played the whole second half against Utah, and he still rushed for over, 150? So
to be fair, in our lifetime, Ryan, let's just throw some names out here of running backs that we've seen. LaDainian Tomlinson, Curtis Martin, Clinton Portis, Reggie, Willis McGahee, Frank Gore, Saquon Barkley, Zeke, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, and the list goes on and on for the elite level college running. Todd Gurley, I can't forget Todd Gurley and Adrian Peterson. That's not fair to them. But let's just say this. Those are some names that we've seen from the college football standpoint of guys who were absolutely elite. Leonard Fournette, let's throw him out there too.
Sure.
So those guys that we've talked about as first-round running backs. McCaffrey was a first-round running back. Barkley, Zeke, Todd Gurley, Adrian Peterson. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was, but he's the outlier. Whatever.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor as well, who's – yeah.
Taylor was
yeah.
But either way.
Taylor was second?
Taylor was a second-round pick. Clyde was the only one that went first in that draft.
Okay.
But either way, the point I'm trying to make is we have not seen a college football season like this since Barry Sanders. And you and I were both not alive when Barry Sanders played Oklahoma.
No. I was going to say the closest thing we've seen to this season was Reggie Bush in his Heisman year.
He was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
But yes, Barry Sanders holds a single season overall touchdown and rushing record for the NCAA. We have never seen anything like this, and this has just been fun to watch, man. Yeah,
not just to give him his full credit. If we're going to talk about his accolades, he was also Offensive Player of the Year of his conference last year as well. Sure as hell going to get it again this year too. I mean, he's racking it up in college, and I don't see why it can't translate to the next level.
Yeah. With Miami losing this weekend too, I do believe he is firmly entrenched in the top of the Heisman race. So shout out to him.
He has to be. Yeah.
He has to be. So
now the pros.
Now to the pros. You talked about contact balance. Yes, he has elite contact balance. The thing that I notice most when he breaks a tackle, he does not lose momentum. He stays strong. He stays tough. He stays into that single initial burst, and he just continues to gain momentum through the tackle. Yeah. And with the contact balance, I love to talk about the vision that comes with it. You notice that a lot of these tackles, or a lot of these clips that we're going to show you tonight, when he breaks these tackles, he's on the outside, on the hashes, very, very limited with the space he has on the field. But he has the vision to see that, and he cuts back inside, which then leads to more broken tackle opportunities. This dude is a yards after the carry monster. This dude does not go down on initial contact. You cannot one-arm tackle this guy and expect to bring him down. It's not happening. I don't care if it's at this level or the next level. This dude is as pro-ready from that standpoint as anyone in this draft. Not even close.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing you look for in the next level, and I think this is already doesn't really need to be said, but just to put it out there as it is, with him touting the rock 25 plus, it seems like every game this year, he's 100% in the workhorse role when he comes to the next level. And I think, some of these teams lacking a running back like the Cowboys or the Broncos or
the Raiders.
Who else could bring this guy in and have him step in day one to be that guy for the franchise?
But like we told you,
yeah,
your older running backs now, because these guys, this class is for the NFL. That's what this class is. This class is going to take over the NFL. He's going to lead the way. I don't care where he goes.
Yeah,
I really don't care where he goes. We had talked about it, and I'm not getting too far off the topic here, but we talked about it with Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers was a special type player. Everybody was a little thrown off with the Raiders landing spot. Doesn't matter. He's an elite level. He's an elite level prospect who's going to produce in the NFL.
Yeah,
and that's where we're at. And so, what you want to talk about with his workhorse capabilities, I like to bring up the fact that he has a 3-down role already.
Yeah.
He is one of the smoothest receivers for the running back position we've seen. Now, with this class or with this draft year, we've only seen 16 receptions from him. Now, granted, he's toted the rock over 260 times already. But last year, if you break it down, he had 46 catches in a college season. I would rather break down the receiving profile from his sophomore year because we have a lot more exposure when it comes to that. This year, he's got 16 catches. He probably end up with 25. But I think his receiving upside should be shown in his sophomore year. But he is a true 3-down back.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a big thing to highlight is, and you kind of already touched on it, was the receiving this year is definitely lacking. I think the most he's had in a game so far is only 3 catches, and he's not really doing a whole lot with the ball in his hands through the receiving game this year. But you already touched on it. Sophomore year looked a whole lot better from the receiving game. So I don't think that's too much to worry about as far as going to the next level. I think it's just this year they're looking at him as, okay, we're going to get this guy the rock out of the backfield and see what he can do. And he's averaging 7.7 yards per carry all year, which is insane. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. No need to use him in the receiving game this year. He's just a dog.
So my question with you coming in again. So I always ask you this question. We know Jonathan Taylor. We know he had over 600 touches in his college career. I know you have a 1,500 touch rule when it comes to these running backs. Jeanty's got to be near the 600 mark, if not over, or he will be at the end of the year. Do you have any concerns about that going into his NFL career?
Not really so far. I mean, he didn't really have a whole – off the top of my head, what he had under 2 his freshman year.
He had 185.
Under 2. He's going to be well over the 600 mark as far as it goes, considering this year alone. He's probably going to be over 275. But, Easy. No injury so far. Hasn't had any knocks on his game. A lot of the times when I reference that 600-yard mark, I look at injuries that happened at the college level. He hasn't had one yet. So I think it takes away and pulls me back a little bit on the concerns as far as touches go so far. Because a lot of the guys like Zeke or Todd Gurley or any of these guys that I talked about previously had already had an injury in college that set them back. And that was my only main concern. So I think coming into it, I'm not too concerned about his workload just yet.
Okay. I tend to stay away from the workhorse, like that touch number that you do. I go look towards contracts. So we have plenty of time. This kid's 21 years old coming to the NFL. You got a 4 or 5 year window with this kid where he should produce at the elite level. Last thing I want to talk about, you talk about how he stands in the backfield. He stands straight up. He does. He stands up like a monster. It is weird. Yeah. I've never really seen that. But guess what? It still doesn't take away from the fact that he gets low and level once the ball's in his hands. He has a very, very solid center of gravity. He tends to not run high like he would project when he stands up straight like that. I love that. He doesn't run the ball out. He is secure with the ball. He doesn't run all wonky. I really just love his movements. I love how fluid he is. I love how crisp he is. I love everything that comes with his profile.
Yeah, and I think the big thing with him when looking at his tape, I've been watching a ton of it, but I watched a ton today coming into this show. And I think the biggest thing, and you kind of just touched on it, was when he hits the hole, his ability to see the field and the defenders once he hits that hole and still be able to hit a juke move or hit a spin move or run to the left of the field and create these extra yardage. Like, it's not only about hitting the hole, it's what you do after the fact. And he is just unbelievably good with the ball in his hands, seeing the field, seeing the defenders, and doing whatever he can to get a few extra yards.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we talked about a lot of pros. Unfortunately, not every prospect's perfect. I'll be honest with you, it's really hard to find cons in his game. It really is. And I'm going to start with this. I don't think he's undersized. I've seen a lot of people worry about his height. May lose some opportunities in short yardage areas. I don't see it. This really never has concerned me. He's 5'9", 215. He's built tough. He runs tough.
Yeah.
So this is a concern that a lot of the fantasy community has expressed concerns with him, was like his height, and it doesn't bother me, but fuck it, we'll mention it.
I mean, to an extent, like I'm not too worried about it, but I could definitely see the next level if it's like a third and short, a 3rd and 2, where like they're going for on 4th down. I could see them bringing in a bruiser back as opposed to giving it to Jeanty. But that's not too much of a knock. I mean, that's just kind of what today's game is. You see it with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs all the time. You see it here and there with teams. Even Bijan Robinson with Ty Algier. Like, you see these guys kind of get like on these short yardage plays, have the backup come in, take care of the grind work. But that being said, I mean, I don't think you're too worried about losing a few 3rd down carries. The thing that kind of gets to me a little bit is the route tree outside, or the route tree with his receiving game. That would probably be the only main concern that I have. Given it's not horrible, but if we go to the next level and we expect to see, like, I don't know, like I would love to see him get involved in like not quite Alvin Kamara level, but I think he's capable of being that type of player in the receiving game. So if we're going to see that, I think get some more routes out there and see what he can do.
So when you talk about his route tree, my comparison to the elite when it comes to the receiving game is Le'Veon Bell.
Sure.
Le'Veon Bell is the best route runner we've quite possibly ever seen for the running back position. And I'm not biased. I'm really not. But it's hard to ask a guy to be that. I've watched Leonard Fournette have multiple seasons with 60-plus catches. I've watched Derrick Henry, who can't catch anything, have a 70-plus reception season. I've seen Zeke do it. I've seen a lot of running backs do it and then, consistently send into a 35, 40 reception year. So I don't need him to be Le'Veon Bell. I don't need him to be McCaffrey. I don't need him to be Saquon Barkley when it comes to that. I just need a guy who's going to get involved in both sides of the offense.
Sure.
That's all. So I will say route tree could use some refinement, sure. But what are we expecting from him? You know what I mean? Like, do we want him to be Zeke 2016 to 2020 Zeke? Because if that's the case, you know what I mean?
I think just as a Dynasty community in general, we're just kind of licking our chops at this kid, expecting the world from him, but we don't really know what we're going to get yet. I mean, like you said, like we touched on previously, you see this year the insane rushing stats. Last year you saw the great receiving stats. So it's like, I think we're, as a community, expecting both, but I think pull back a little bit on that. That's the only reason I'm going to bring up the route tree. Just hamper expectations there.
Last thing I want to say, you'll notice that his vision, I talked about his vision as a positive, and that's because he makes things when nothing's there. I will say that. Only thing is, I'm going to tell you, at the NFL level, he's going to have to learn to be more patient behind the line of scrimmage.
Sure.
That's just it. He's going to have to be. Because if nothing's there in the NFL, you're not getting away from your defender. It's just not going to happen. Some of these guys that play in the NCAA are going to go on to be doctors and lawyers. They're never going to play in the NFL level. I'm being honest with you. When you go to the NFL level, the game's completely different. He's going to have to learn to be more patient. He's going to have to learn how to be that guy that sees the field for every aspect of the field,
right?
Not just what he can make of it.
All right, I think that covers pros, cons, and any notables.
Any known character issues? It's a great question. To be honest with you, I have not heard any. And when we do these 2025 breakdowns, I'll be honest with you, there are running backs with character issues, i.e. Ollie Gordon and Quinshawn Jukins.
Yep.
I'll be honest with you, Quinshawn Jukins, locker room hates him. Ole Miss hated him. Then they said that.
True. They got him on out of there.
Obviously, Ollie Gordon, we know about the DUI. But to my knowledge, Ashton Jeanty is one of the most pure, kind-hearted, just dudes, good dudes in college football. I have not heard of anything when it comes to character issues.
Yeah. So far, so good for him. I haven't heard any negatives from Jeanty yet.
So let's just do an overall breakdown. To me, this is a generational type running back who has the ability to be a Hall of Famer at the next level. That's what kind of talent he possesses. That's what kind of skill set he possesses. This dude is probably the only running back in this class who is going to be a first-round pick. Running backs tend to fall out of the first round.
Yeah.
But Ashton Jeanty, if I'm putting my money on it, he is going to be a first-round pick.
He should definitely be a first-round pick, especially with his elite talent. All these running back needy teams, I think he'll fly off the board.
And the last thing I like to say, I give comparisons. Ryan does not. It took a lot to find this running back. I've seen a lot of people say it, and I'm going to go to TCU. A lot of people say he shows shades of LaDainian Tomlinson. And that's tough. Now, that's a monster. That's tough. When I watch him play, I see Kareem Hunt with more juice. Prime Kareem Hunt, if we don't remember, I know we've been through a lot with Kareem Hunt with his character issues and concerns, but Prime Kareem Hunt was a beast.
He was.
He was a
going with
beast.
The Browns.
He was a beast.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you, he has a lot more juice. A lot more juice.
Yeah. He's something special. Ain't no doubt about it.
You want to break down some clips?
Yeah. I did not get a chance to look at the clips, so I'm going to let you break these down. Normally I jump in, but not today.
I got you. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up everything I sent you in our messages.
I know. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, there's the video thumbnail.
Leaks.
Okay. Give me 1 minute as we load these up.
Shout out Dane.
All right.
Get that full screen, son.
I'm working on it. Give me 1 second. Okay. Wide receivers in motion. You'll see Ashton Jeanty, the only player standing up on the football field.
You can't miss him in these clips. He's the only one standing.
Can't miss him. This game is against Nevada. Watch this play happen. So this is what I was talking about right here. So this is what I want to reiterate. If I'm number 28, I never want to see Ashton Jeanty again in my life. This is
Preach.
Just look at how low he gets. Look at his contact balance. Look at his pad level. He gets lower than a DB here, and the DB is basically dropping to his knee level to try and make a shoestring type tackle here. And he just boom, bye. But this is what I wanted to talk about here. You see how he makes nothing or something out of nothing. He works towards the sideline here, realizes he has nothing left to make. He cuts back inside. He throws this dude off his right shoulder. Number 4 here, he's going to carry him for some yardage, and that's it. That's just how it should be. Great play. Great play.
Back to the thumbnail.
And this is against Oregon.
Yeah, this is the game that impressed me with Jeanty the most. This was the game I was like, whoa, okay. It's getting a little real.
Yeah, he's a monster.
I think the first game of the season was Georgia Southern, and I was like, that's a little suspect, even if he ran for 6 touchdowns, 267 yards. But to go in against Oregon, who's a power program, and do what he did is
Jeanty breaks a tackle in the backfield because, of course.
All right, let's load it up. These videos take so long to load here, man. All right, let's do it.
And they're playing physical football right now. Ashton Jeanty breaks a tackle in the backfield because, of course, he does, and breaks free across the 30.
This is 70-yarder.
40. Jeanty keeps going.
No, it's not.
So with this run here, you'll notice defender hits him 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Very, very impressive here. With that being said, once he gets hit behind the line of scrimmage, he then breaks 8 tackles up the right sideline. To me, that's a little wild.
Yeah, he makes it a point to make these defenders embarrassed, if I'm 100% honest with you.
All right, and give me 1 second. I got the last video loaded. Just share this. Share this one more.
Ooh, okay.
This is from Barstool Sports, so you know they're going to blow this play up. This is the Washington State game. I'm just going to let this clip speak for itself.
Great pass protection. Jeanty breaking a tackle with that stiff arm, takes a little stutter step, picks up a first down, cuts it back inside. Ashton Jeanty trying to turn on the gas, spinning into the end zone.
Dude's a beast.
I don't care what you want to say.
Yeah, I think the important part about that clip, if we're gonna say anything, is it wasn't so much the blocks that set him up for that long touchdown. That was mostly, outside of one wide receiver block, all on him to get that touchdown.
I don't know if it was a nickel corner or a safety as up in the box. He makes contact with this dude, not even a yard past the line of scrimmage.
So
I mean, breaks that tackle, pushes up the sideline, breaks another tackle, cuts in, has a dude on his back, carries him 5 yards, shrugs him off, has another defender on his back, spins, twists, 60-yard touchdown to the house.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you want to say.
Yeah, kid's a beast. So we did a ton of these rookie reviews last year. They're typically under the 30-minute mark, which is where we're at now. So we always cover these. So we can do it again this year per usual. Dream landing spot for Jeanty. What do you have him?
Dallas.
Yeah, I kind of figured. I think Dallas or Broncos. I kind of go back and forth. I think he would be great for Sean Payton and Bo Nix to take away from what Bo Nix is expecting. But I think CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and Jeanty would be like.
Realistically, with Dak having hamstring surgery, Cooper Rush being that guy, they have a lot of divisional games left to play, man. Dude, Dallas may get a top 12 pick, top 15 pick.
Yeah.
There's a real shot he lands in Dallas. Dallas is my number 1 landing spot.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense because they damn sure need it. They can't get Rico Dowdle or Zeke going at all.
Nah, dude. Get unretire Emmitt Smith's number. Give this man his jersey. Let's get rocking. That's just where I'm at. He's my number 1 landing spot there for him is Dallas. But I don't care. Any team will use this man.
Yep.
Any team will be very, very lucky to have him. Obviously there's a couple spots. He's not going to Philly. He's not going to Baltimore. He's not going to New York. Jets. Not going to the Jets.
Yeah.
He's not going to Atlanta.
Already. You probably won't go to the Dolphins.
So, but yeah, the teams that really need a running back, Dallas. That's
Dallas for sure.
So, on that note, I appreciate all the 190 people that are in here watching tonight. Thank you very much. Listen, in-season content can be so repetitive and Ryan and I were talking about it. We just weren't having fun.
Yeah.
It's just it felt like a job. So why not cover one of the most generational prospects we've seen in quite some time? I mean, when you're in the same conversation as Barry Sanders from a collegiate level standpoint, that's nothing to gawk at.
Yeah. So yeah, we're getting ready to wrap this one up. But for all you guys coming out to join us, you guys see a big difference in numbers. 190 of you guys have came in for us to talk about these guys. This is our bread and butter. We've already seen more success on this video than we have for our in-season content. So going forward, you might see a little bit of mix of both. But you let us know if you watch us consistently, which one you'd rather prefer. I know a lot of you guys watch us outside of the season for our content. So just curious where we're at with that.
Yeah. Lastly, DFF, again, we appreciate you for allowing us to go live and to be sponsored by you guys and have this amazing opportunity and this platform. YouTube channel is our life. We enjoy this podcast. We love you guys. So we just wanted to switch things up a little bit, have a little bit of fun. And to talk Ashton Jeanty was a blast.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do too many more of these because we got a lot of off-season content to worry about. So on that note, that is going to wrap it up for tonight. Ryan, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
We're good. Like I said, my piece tonight.
We're good. Last
Good.
thing we always like to say before we end our show, remember, always be building. Always be building. Never become stagnant in Dynasty football. And on that note, we are out.
Sayonara.